Hi everyone, welcome to NetGate Chemistry. So in the previous video or coordination chemistry we discussed about the ligands, and in this video we are going to study about the VBT, that is valence bond theory. Okay, so in case of valence bond theory, if we consider our coordination complexes, then these ligand and metal interactions, these are considered to be predominantly covalent in nature, right? According to valence bond theory, these interactions are mostly covalent in nature, or you can say polar covalent in nature, because only the ligands, if the ligand and metal are having opposite charges, a little bit of polarity between them, then only they are going to come closer to each other. So predominantly the bonds are considered to be covalent in nature. Okay, so we have studied valence bond theory in chemical bonding also. We have used valence bond theory there, right? So in case of chemical bonding, what we did was we used the hybridizations, right? And if you have followed the lectures, then you know that we have talked about the steric stabilization, which was considered to be a major factor for the formation of compounds, right? So in using valence bond theory, we have discussed about the compounds in chemical bonding using hybridizations, and we have discussed about the steric stabilizations, right? So according to valence bond theory, the compounds which we have discussed, mostly the covalent compounds, these are based on the steric stabilization criteria. That was the major factor. But if we apply valence bond theory to coordination complexes, then what happens? See, according to valence bond theory, if we have a ligand, any kind of ligand, so valence bond theory cannot tell that this particular ligand, it is a strong field ligand or a weak field ligand, right? So the first thing is to find out whether the ligand is a strong field or weak field. So in order to find out that a particular ligand is strong field or weak field, we have to know about the presence of or the absence of unpaired electrons, right? And in order to find these unpaired electrons, we need to know about the magnetic moment, right? So if we want to find out the magnetic moment, then there is only one way, that is experimental. So the conclusion here is that if we want to apply VBT to coordination complexes, then see, VBT cannot tell whether a ligand which is attached to a coordination to a central metal in a coordination complex, it is a strong field ligand or a weak field ligand. So in order to find out that, we first have to find out the magnetic moment of that coordination complex. Only then we will be able to find out the presence or absence of unpaired electrons, right? So if the electrons are paired, if pairing has been done, then we know that pairing is only done by strong field ligands. The ligands which are strong, only they are going to make pairing happen, right? And if they are unpaired, pairing has not happened, that means that the ligands attached to the central atom are weak field ligands, right? So valence bond theory cannot tell about the ligands. So what happens in case of coordination complexes? We can say that the coordination complexes, according to VBT, they are magnetic criteria based. right? According to valence bond theory, in chemical bonding, those compounds were steric criteria based, and according to valence bond theory, the coordination complexes which we are studying right now, they are magnetic criteria based. So based on this point, magnetic criteria, one question has been asked in NET. That's why I have emphasized on this topic. Okay. But now a question arises that why valence bond theory has failed. The reason is that if we want to find out the magnetic moment, then we have to find out that experimentally. And if we are able to find out the magnetic moment, then we will be able to understand whether unpaired electrons are present or absent. Right? If we know unpaired electrons are present or absent, then we can determine whether the ligands are strong field or weak field. Right? If we know that, then what is the use of valence bond theory? Right? We have many other theories like CFT and LFT, crystal field theory and ligand field theory. Using those theories will not be requiring to calculate the magnetic moment of coordination complex experimentally. So this was the main drawback of the valence bond theory, right? Due to which next came the crystal field theory, right? So first we are going to discuss about this valence bond theory only. Okay. So from this part, what is important is that using valence bond theory, we can tell that the coordination complexes, these are magnetic criteria based, and the covalent complexes which I have studied in chemical bonding, these are steric stabilization criteria based. Okay. So the next topic which we are going to discuss is types of ligands. First type could be that the ligands are sigma donors only. Second type could be that they are pi donors. Third type could be that they are pi acceptors. See, all the ligands are sigma donors, right? So if I'm saying that they are sigma donors only, that means they are sigma donors. If I'm saying they're pi donors, then that means they are sigma donors as well as pi donors. If I'm saying they're pi acceptors, then that means they are sigma donors as well as pi acceptors. So all the ligands are sigma donors. Okay. So one by one we are going to discuss each one of them, right? So first we are going to discuss about sigma donors only. So if we have a metal and ligand interactions, so what happens in metal ligand interactions? If ligand is donating its electrons to the metal through sigma bond only, then these are known as sigma donors only. That is, here is your metal and here is the ligand. So via sigma bond, ligand is going to donate the electron density towards the metal. Okay. Examples for sigma donors will be H negative, right? All the alkyl negative groups like CH3 negative, C2H5 negative, you can call this under the category of R negative, right? Alkyl negative groups, or your alcoholic group, water of course, ammonia also, these come under the category of sigma donors only. Okay. So basically your H negative, your alkyl groups, and the atoms of your, if second period elements are donating the electrons. Okay. Basically second period like nitrogen, oxygen, okay, carbon, nitrogen and oxygen, the second period elements, if they are donating, they come under the category of sigma donors only. Next category is pi donors. By pi donors I mean sigma donors as well as pi donors, because all ligands are sigma donors. So in this case, here is the ligand will be donating through sigma also and through pi also. So if I have my metal here and ligand here, So the ligand is going to donate through this sigma bond also, and metal will be having these empty orbitals and ligand will be having the filled orbitals. Here also via pi bond donation will take place. Okay, so here the orbitals which are donating through pi bond, these are filled p orbitals, and the metal which is taking up these electron density from pi bonds, this orbital, this is vacant d orbital. Okay, so what is happening, from p pi towards d pi donation is happening. So these types of bonds, these are known as p pi d pi back bonding. Okay, here via sigma also donation is taking place, and also donation from the filled p orbital of ligand towards the vacant d orbital of the metal is also taking place. Okay, so this is known as p pi d pi back bonding. Okay, for example, examples could be from here, ignore H negative and these. For these, just deprotonate them. For example, RO negative, I'm deprotonating them. H2O deprotonate OH negative, NH3 deprotonate NH2 negative, right? All the halide negatives, they come under the category of pi donors. Okay, so this is all about pi donors. So next categories of pi acceptors. I think I'm going to stop this video now, and from next video we are going to continue with pi acceptor ligands, and then we'll continue with Capert model. We'll start with Capert model. Okay, so far that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching.